Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Nioh level 1 fist and knees build and run. My character is going to be called Raoh. That is a reference from the Conqueror in Fist of the North Star, and this is going to be, as I mentioned, we will not be leveling in this run, and I'm going to be using my fists, my feet, my knees, my face, whatever I can to crush my enemies and display my strength in good old Fist of the North Star tradition. Unfortunately, Nioh doesn't really have the tools I was hoping it would have to make this run as fun as I wanted it to be. So there's going to be all hosts of creativities that were used to get this to you. And you might be wondering, Chris, well, why are you bringing this instead of a walkthrough? You normally do a walkthrough after a playthrough. Well, at this moment in time, there's still a lot of stuff about this game that I don't really understand and the internet seems a bit confused on. So I think I'm going to wait until the Future Press walkthrough comes out, check that out to make sure that I know everything. I know what I'm doing, I know that I'm not misrepresenting parts of the game, and then I'm going to make a walkthrough that hopefully enables players of any skill level to get through the game with zero, effort needed. At this moment in time, what I am confident in is my ability to play the game. I might not know everything, I might not know what everything does and how everything functions on a minutiae level, but I do know how to fight and I do know how to win. And that's what we're going to be doing, as witnessed here by our first little encounter against one of the Beefeater guys in the Tower of London. So, when I had originally thought about this moveset and this whole idea, I wanted to do level 1 bare fists, because I thought that the fists were going to have stances, and I thought the low stance would be like fast kicks, uppercuts, and really cool looking, ducking dodges or something. I thought mid stance would probably have straights, and probably have, spinning back kicks and stuff, maybe crescent kicks, a bit fancy, an axe kick maybe. I'm not that fussy, could have been normal, could have been just a standard head kick or like a kickboxing tee, and then I expected the high stance to have big looping Vandelay silver hooks that were risky and reckless but very damaging, and then the kicks could be, just the kind of thing that you see Jean-Claude Van Damme doing in Kickboxer, or when he's watching Tong Po and he's like, he was kicking the fucking pillar, the powder was falling and all that stuff. But no, we got none of those things. We get no modifiers at all. The only moves we have at the moment, and this is 100% my ignorance speaking because I haven't found any more, is we get this 2-punch combo which has a lot of recovery and looks kind of crappy, misses everything, has a terrible hit detection on smaller enemies or anything that is below you, and then you have a kick which is slow but quite damaging, and that's it. There's no, hammer fist blows to do homages to Vegeta. There's no combos of any real kind. There is a counter move that you can buy, where it's just like the other counters, but you do it unarmed and you take the sword off them and stab them with it, and that is really powerful, so we'll be definitely making the most of that tool. But as it stands, you get 2 moves, and I was really stunned. So when I was first recording this and setting it up, I was bored, man. The reason I do fist playthroughs is not so that I can be the first guy to do it, or so I can be the guy who did the fist thing. That doesn't bother me at all. I do it because in my mind it'll be cool. And when I say cool, I think of Vanquisher Seal from Dark Souls 2. The moveset in Dark Souls 2 was amazing. You had all different kinds of moves, they looked cool, and it made it work, and it made you feel like a badass. And then they implemented that fist weapon, and that was amazing too, because it had all those crazy Heihachi techniques, and it was a really fun tool, and that was awesome as well. So I came into this thinking, wow, this is going to be really, really cool. There's only so many weapons in the game, so the fists must have a moveset as well. And then alas, I didn't find one, or I'm too ignorant to know where it is. So we start off our adventure a little bit frustrated with our limitations, because we don't get access to the different roles from high stance, low stance and mid stance. We just kind of get a mid stance one. We don't get access to Kai fluxing, to Kai pulsing, to any of the Kai replenishment stuff. Do not go towards Derek at the beginning of this fight. Very important lesson to learn. Yeah, that happens. So our friend Derek is I'm gonna fight him the same way I always fight him, which is I'm going to bait him into doing the charge attack, and then I'm going to punish it. And you'll see the damage right now doesn't look too impressive. You might be wondering, how the hell are you going to do this? Well, there is a talisman in this game, which when you use it, it increases your damage in your fists for a certain amount of time. It says fists, it might say melee, but it does your kick as well. And in that time period, you do a lot more damage. we're going to be combining this with some equipment that gives us a bit of a bonus, with a clan that gives us a bit of a bonus, and then we're going to be trying to exploit things like the back of enemies, which are their weak points, where you get extra damage for doing so. And we're going to combine almost everything we can to get this to work. And in the early days, because I don't have any damage all the way up until after... where was it when I got it? It was after Juro Gumo. It was after the Spider Lady in the Spider Nest Castle. So I had to do the entire game up to that point, not really playing the build that I wanted to make, which is really frustrating, but we're going to talk about that later. And I'm going to explain how you can avoid it, and hopefully have more fun if you try and do something like this. But up until that point, what I was doing is I was using the Kusarigama's knee attack, you know, the skill where they do the double knee, because it's still technically a melee attack, but you have to use the weapon to do it. And it does 2 hits that both do, you know, pretty low damage, but they do good key damage. And I'm going to be using that in a whole host of different scenarios to make up for my lack of damage. The fists as it stand are going to do about 50 damage each hit, and some of these enemies have thousands of life. And my idea of fun is challenge, is interesting, it's not tedium. So on the early days of the fights, what's going to happen is I'm going to kill most of them with weapons, and then there's going to be a transition to me doing it with my fists once I've got my build to where I need it to be to actually have fun in those fights, which is simply the fist talisman. And I was under the illusion that I'd be able to get it at the beginning. I thought I'd do the first level Isle of Demons, it'd be kind of rough, and then I'd do a training mission or something, and they'd give me enough Onmyo mage locks to unlock it. That is not how it worked. It really isn't. But I have faith in the build now. It's got to the point where my damage is good. It's just finding when to do it. Because without the pulsing and the fluxing and everything, you have very little you can do, really. So you have to be careful with your rolls. You have to pick your moments. And you don't have any of the cushions of the Kai... the yokai realm or any of that kind of stuff, so everything that affects you the way it would because you're a level 1 character that's not leveled, you don't have the toughness, you're not going to be doing the blocking, you're not going to be rolling all the time, you're not going to be sprinting for long periods of times. You know, you are at the beginning of the game in essence, but we're going to hopefully be defying that. So thank you very much for watching, and welcome to my Raoh run.